Have you ever looked at something tiny and wondered how it could ever become something significant? That's exactly what Jesus wanted his followers to consider when he shared one of his most memorable parables about the kingdom of heaven. Picture yourself in ancient Palestine, where Jesus often taught through stories that connected everyday life to profound spiritual truths. One day, surrounded by eager listeners, Jesus held up a mustard seed. This seed, barely visible in his palm, would become the centerpiece of a powerful message about faith and growth. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, Jesus began, which a man took and planted in his field. To his audience, this was a familiar sight. Mustard seeds were common in their agricultural society, known as one of the smallest seeds they regularly planted. Each seed measured just a millimeter in diameter, smaller than a grain of sand. But what happened next in Jesus' parable captured everyone's attention. This tiny seed, when planted and nurtured, didn't stay small. It grew and grew, eventually becoming larger than all the garden plants. In fact, Jesus described it becoming a tree so substantial that birds could come and make nests in its branches. In first-century Palestine, mustard plants could indeed grow to impressive heights of 8 to 12 feet tall, transforming from a speck of a seed into a towering presence in the garden. This dramatic transformation served as a perfect metaphor for how God's kingdom works in our world and in our hearts. The parable carries multiple layers of meaning that resonated then and still speak to us today. Just as a tiny seed contains all the potential for a mighty plant, small beginnings in faith can lead to extraordinary growth. A simple act of kindness, a moment of faith, or a humble prayer might seem insignificant at first, but they can grow into something far beyond our initial expectations. This story also reveals the nature of God's kingdom. It starts small and hidden, but grows persistently and expansively. From 12 disciples in ancient Jerusalem, the message of Jesus has spread across continents and centuries, touching countless lives. The birds finding shelter in the branches represent how God's kingdom becomes a refuge for people from all nations and backgrounds. Today, when we feel our contributions are too small to matter, or our faith too modest to make a difference, the parable of the mustard seed reminds us that size isn't what matters, it's the potential for growth that God sees. In his hands, the smallest seed of faith can flourish into something magnificent, offering hope and shelter to others along the way.